Welcome back to The First, The Last, The Nerdom, the podcast where we explore the first, the last, and everything in between across film, television, and pop culture. And once again, it's time to fire up one of our favorite reoccurring segments, Binge Worthy, ? The idea is simple. We pick a TV show we've been curious about or meaning to revisit or watch the first time. We watch the first 3 episodes and decide whether it earns a full binge or if it crashes before it really gets going. This week, we're heading into the world of startups, coding, and painfully awkward genius, and a painfully awkward genius with Silicon Valley. Created by Mike Judge, the series follows a group of programmers trying to build a startup and the hyper-competitive tech industry, where billion-dollar ideas, corporate sharks, and social ineptitude all collide. Autism. It's also a show packed with sharp satire, ridiculous situations, and surprisingly accurate look at the chaos in the tech world. In those first 3 episodes, Silicon Valley sets the tone with its blend of cringe comedy, industrial insight, and escalating absurdity. But does that formula make it instantly binge-worthy, or is it better enjoyed in smaller bursts? We're breaking down the characters, the humor, and whether the show's mix of tech jargon and comedy hooks us enough to keep hitting next episode, or if we're ready to uninstall early. That's cute. So fire up the servers, pitch your startup. Hope your compression algorithm doesn't implode. It's about to get middle out. This is Binge Worthy, the first to last, the Nerdom. And this week, we're logging into Silicon Valley. Yeah, I like that one. I can dig that. I like it. All right, let me get rid of that on my screen. Okay, yeah, here we are. But before we get into too much further along, beautiful thumbnail by Tom there. You can find us at firstlastnerdom.com. Is the website. Is that done? Tom and I are not happy with it, and I think I want to roll back to what it was before. But first things first, you can always find us on the YouTube's homepage, again, at First Last Nerdom. There's a theme here developing. I'm sure you can see. We would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe to us and check out to tell us what you want to see on one of our 3 main shows, which we are going to get into. But first, or other, or is Tom with the Reddit.
Yeah, or asterisk. No.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, hashtag Octothorpe. Yeah, right.
Yes. First Last Nerdom is my tag on Reddit. You'll see me promoting our stuff there. So if you're coming over from Reddit, hello. I hope we don't disappoint you. Mike's celebrating. But I'm also on X promoting our stuff under First Last Nerdom as well. So if you want our latest and greatest, that's where it'll be. And Mike's on X as well.
Yes, I am. I am at Suffolk King Jewish _ and you can find Tom and I occasionally our comings and goings, although we haven't been too chatty lately, but that's okay. Sometimes it just, it is what it is. But with that being said, this is, I gotta say, you actually proposed this one, and I love it. This is one of my probably all-time favorite TV shows, comedies, beloved thing. This would have been the version of, and my son, we didn't watch it when we caught the closer toward the end of it when it ended, when he was a little bit older and he could appreciate it. But that kind of became, as I said before, Star Trek is something that I share with my dad, the next generation, I should say. That's what we share. But that show would be, for me and my son, it would be Silicon Valley. It is the most, and also it helped that I, around the time frame that this was on, I got to work for a startup. So it wasn't
Nice.
quite as zany as this, obviously, because it was a much more mundane, pedestrian startups. There are the hyper unicorns, and then there are just the normal ones that are it's just a normal job. It changes a little bit. It's a little bit more chaotic, but I dearly love this one. I was so happy that we could see this one, and it is older. But you know what? It holds up surprisingly well, and I'm sure it will continue on. I mean, just some of the ridiculousness. There's just half a dozen things I can think of that I could pull out from the series. But I'll pause there because obviously I clearly love it. But what is Tom's history with this? And I'll throw it back to you.
Well, me and my physical media, I do have the first season on Blu-ray, um, which I got when it came out. So there's that. But yeah, so this is what I watched. It does have some commentary on it. It's got some extras. So yeah, it was a show that yeah, I loved from the start, Um
Hmm.
at that time, you had a lot of good shows on HBO. You had Game of Thrones. I don't think it had fallen under the bus yet, so
No,
that
yeah, I
was
think you're
still
right.
still still on top. And then yeah, it was a no-brainer. You got Mike Judge, who's always fun. And I know you have a special place for him because when we were picking our um our favorite comedies, movies, I picked Raising Arizona, and you picked Idiocracy. So
Idiocracy. Yes.
so
Yes.
you're a Mike Judge fan.
Huge.
I enjoy a lot of his stuff. I definitely enjoyed Beavis and Butthead when that was a
Yeah.
thing. And and
Yeah. Go
it's
ahead.
come
Sorry.
back. It's come back as a cartoon series. I had Paramount for a little while, and I watched most of the first season of that, which it was actually pretty decent as well. Mike Judge is a funny guy. So
Oh, he is.
you can't, and he knows how to pull together a pretty funny cast. There's some great people here. Of course, I've been a fan of Martin Starr since
Yeah.
his Freaks and Geeks days. Uh Kumal, he was in that show I Zombie, I believe. And
You're right.
so I
Yeah.
was familiar with him from that. TJ Miller, although I think he's gotten canceled recently. What didn't he? And during while Silicon Valley was going on, wasn't it? Or has he weathered that? I don't know.
Which
But
one was it again? Sorry. Which one?
TJ Miller.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. TJ. Yeah. I think he just kind of got. I think that he. I don't. I think that he just was ruled an asshole and got drummed out of Hollywood essentially for roles because you just kind of say I do have a fascination with some of these people and following along just like anything else in the YouTube the algorithm it serves you up. If you start watching this, guaranteed you're going to see clips. You're going to see infinite clips of this, which is great. But you're also going to see like what happened to them, like all the permutations of ancillary side watching your favorite thing on the sidelines about it or something meta therein. But yeah,
Mhm,
most of these people and TJ was hilarious. And that one, that's probably a little bit beyond the scope of this. And this is going to end up being a darling because me and Tom both love this. So forgive us if we do talk past the first few episodes, but the Martin Starr was also in. He's in the same running with a group of folks where he was in every other um God, what was this guy's name? He Judd Apatow movies. He's like in every other
mhm,
one of those. Like, as I'm talking about, like a minor character. He'll pop up here in 40-Year-Old Virgin or whatever. But very well known, awesome. Love the dynamic between him and Kamal are awesome. Yeah, I think Kamal was attempted. I think an attempted canceling was an attempted burgle of his fame and time. But I do think that he did bounce back from that. But unfortunately for him, I think he got into the Marvel's Eternals thing, and I think that he was really thinking that it was. I've heard things. This is a little thing, and then we'll bring it back. I'll turn the car around. But he
mhm.
was really disappointed in that the Eternals didn't become bigger than it was. But that was probably the sun was starting to set on the Marvels for for some things. It just was like, yeah, no, that's not going to be that. We're not going to do that one. But anyway, point it back to Thomas Middleditch. Good
Yep.
grief, and Zach Woods, hilarious.
Mhm,
So the first anyway, kind of pulling it back to the first few episodes. Here, let me pull my notes here. What so obviously you love this. I've rewatched this a number of times. How about you? I'll just start there.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in a little while, so yeah, it was
Okay, good, good.
fun to go back and watch it. Still as funny as ever. Yeah, it was kind of fun listening to the commentary track on the first episode. It was done with Mike Judge and Thomas Middleditch on the star of it. They said Thomas said that he was already friends with the guys in the house, except for Big Head. He's just the guy who plays Big Head.
Right.
He wasn't familiar with him when they started, but everybody else they knew from different jobs and whatnot, and then so he said it was fun being able to act with them because they were already friends. In fact, they were talking about the beginning scene where famously Kid Rock is playing to a group of techie guys that are kind of ignoring him. And in fact, while they were filming that scene, Thomas Middleditch said that he was in the back with the other actors playing Magic the Gathering card game while Kid Rock was out performing.
That's funny.
Yeah, I guess they're a bit nerdy off the screen as well as on the screen. So there's that. And Mike Judge said that he got Kid Rock because Kid Rock was one of his neighbors. So
Oh,
he was
okay.
like, hey kid, would you like to be on my show? So
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of great actors. Unfortunately, the guy who plays one of the big tech guys, Christopher Evan Welch, he passed away while they were filming the first season. Plays Peter Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
After they
Mm-hmm.
filmed the sixth episode, he passed away. So, it's kind of interesting to kind of speculate because he was such a presence on those first few episodes that I think you couldn't help but think that the show would maybe have gone in a different direction if he had stayed with them.
Right.
But yeah, does such a great performance, and in fact, Mike Judge said that his performance of the character really made him want to do the show. That he was so impressed with his audition that is one of the reasons why he pushed for the show because he knew that he would be great in it. So unfortunately, yeah, he passed away, but I think he would have went on to do bigger and better things. Because this would have been a really good launching pad for well, it was a good launching pad for a lot of these actors that started
Oh,
here. So,
yeah. Well, it's fun to see that. Yeah, and you have initially this Richard Hendricks, which is Thomas's character on in the first episode. It's kind of like that. It is absolutely written from real life because there are certain things that transcend the decade that he observed it
mhm,
in from his job in the 80s in an 80s startup at that time.
mhm.
So those concepts, I mean, it translates perfectly. You just kind of swap out the kind of thing, and they nail everything down to the thing. But you start to get to understand this world, this Google type Hooli, and of course, like every other engineer, like they got a side hustle or they got a side project, which is pretty true to life for these guys that do this. And then they can become famous just from that. But yeah, the Pied Piper and
Mhm,
you have you get this introduction to Erlich Bachman and
mhm,
the concept of what would become home base, which is this incubator and this house. Like I mean, like you were saying, like they kind of back up just a moment, like you had the tech crunch disrupt that kind of sets where we're going with this, and then Kid Rock and everybody else kind of like ignore him, like and the standard, the kind of the tropish speech that's given of like why they're going to change the world or some such da 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 da
mhm.
that kind of thing. But the anyway, I'll pause there. Throw it back to you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the a lot of true to life aspects of the show. They just yeah, they're kind of cliches because they're true, you know.
Right.
A lot of these guys yeah, if you work in IT or around developers, they pretty hit it spot on with how these guys act and interact. There's a thing, a scene where Gavin Belsom is kind of looking out and looking at the groups of people walking around, the nerds, and he's there's always a long-haired one. There's always
Oh God, yeah,
an
yeah.
East Asian. Kind of going through the list of groupings that
Oh
they
God,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
formulate until they got the perfect group together. And but yeah, there's a lot of things with comedy is yeah a lot of it's like when you hit it on the nail on the head. It's pretty true to life. So yeah, who doesn't know a big head, you know?
Oh God, yeah. Well, and then you also get to see the physicality that these characters get to play, because they really do play it with everything they got.
Mhm,
And you get just certain kind of ticks or whatever of the
mhm,
actor, like where you buy that Richard is kind of this, kind of mealy mouth, kind of, kind of
mhm,
mumbling fool. But we're on his journey of him
yeah.
and his evolution of what he
Mhm,
is capable of and what he is
mhm,
not. And and really that's true for all of these characters, kind of like when you get to see who's who and who sticks around and who's important.
mhm,
And like you said, like literally, and that's kind of the joke of the thing, is like just the physicality, and that Richard, that panic attack where he vomits,
mhm.
that becomes a calling card of
Yep. Yeah, and I like
that.
how everybody that he runs into has a tech startup themselves, like the doctor he goes to has his own little
Oh
app
God,
that
yeah,
he's trying to get
yeah,
off the ground. And
yeah.
when he
Everybody's
goes
pitching,
to
yeah,
get a margarita machine, the
right.
guy selling him that has a app as well. So yeah, they all so that's kind of a funny little recurring joke that doesn't overstay its welcome. Yeah, the really cool thing is even the smaller actors, or the bit parts in them are really funny. They're all kind of crafted. A complete character. You could have that guy that worked at the store who ends up quitting his job when he shows back up to return
Oh yeah.
the thing. He's such a complete character that you could see him on a spin-off series, somewhere. But yeah, there all these characters you kind of want to know more about the each of them. And all the you can tell that each of the actors are kind of bringing everything they have to the table.
Oh yeah, well, and you also set the dynamic and the chemistry between, this is the very beginning of that, and it only gets better. I was also going to say too, this show is very, you can tell that Mike Judge, when he does these shows, he knows how to write, and he knows how to direct, and he knows how to direct people to where he wants to go and whatnot. Because I say that because the concept of Silicon Valley could be many things before this show existed. I mean, there is already a good amount of snark out there for sure, and tech kind of has this waftiness of like, oh God, here come these a holes, with they think they're shit hot, with their own little kind of what's cool and what's not, or what's hot and what's not, that sort of thing.
Mhm,
But in the first 10 minutes, you know what you're watching. It's
mhm,
right. There's a practical one-to-one in the real world versus there's like where it really draws hard and hits it hard on the head. And you accept that because of how ridiculous and buffoonish, yet anchored and grounded in reality of like, this could absolutely happen. It's just some things are a little bit more there. But I think the most important parts that I got from this kind of rewatching this was kind of it's just seeing that build up, even with the doctor. The doctor is kind of a minor recurring kind of
mhm,
thing. That is like a set piece of like just different parts of Richard's life as he progresses through this massive choice of like absolutely, whipsaw of a decision of instantly rich, and you just go fuck off and you go do whatever you want for the rest of
mhm,
your life, or do you want to build something, and
mhm,
then again, you have that the character building moments, that the emotional parts that have way more depth and weight than you would think they would have. Like with Peter Gregory, that Peter Gregory character and Richard. And you can kind of see that because they both have eccentricness to them. And that they're not the only ones. And the more normal kind of a person you are, the more of a interesting, it's interesting how shenanigans happen and they get deeper and deeper. And which sets up some just sheerly ridiculous, just stunners from the top rope coming down to hit you, and it will make you absolutely cry laughing. I didn't quite get to that point in this one, but I think it was probably the third or fourth episode, like when I just it was just like it had me at hello. But anyway, the first one is just kind of like sets up that high thing. And the other thing too is that they did very well for this film, and I can just speak from experience. That they're not as technically accurate as say like Mr. Robot, which came a few years after this. Not too far after it, but they nail enough of it to like where you see the MVP and minimum viable. Like this is doped with that throughout. And I also especially appreciated this too, because it's kind of like where you work in an office and you kind of have that same thing and you got to go to lunch and you only got 30 minutes and you better hurry and you better make that 25 really, because you might get looked at sideways, or forever singled out to be looked at, that grind of every day. But some of this stuff was cool too to me because like, oh, hey, I've done that, or I know exactly what they're doing. It's kind of interesting, and it's doped very, very authentically throughout, which pulls you in even more. At least if you're obviously if you work in technology, this is an easy in, unless you just hate, you just can't stand that side of it, and work is work. But anyway, I've been talking for a minute. I'll throw it back to Tom here. I'm sure he has his side.
Yeah. I'll take this over Big Bang Theory any day.
Oh God! Oh, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that one.
Yeah, one of the standout performances. He's kind of understated, but I think he's a rock as Zach Woods. He was in
Oh God!
The Office,
Yeah.
The Office as well. He plays
Mhm.
Jared, whose actual real name's Donald, but Belsom called him Jared his first day, so he became Jared. I like how he just suddenly reveals that his real name's Donald, and then they just keep calling him Jared.
Right.
Okay. But he's very interesting. I don't know. He kind of plays a similar role that he does in The Office, but yeah, he really comes into his own in this series. Really, really enjoy his acting. But yeah, there's a lot of great actors in this. It's each of them kind of gets their own kind of spotlight, and I like how they find out that there's a guy not from this country, and immediately go to Camille, but it's actually Martin Starr, who's Canadian, a darn Canadian. But yeah, there's some fun jokes about him just crossing the border into America and just started working here. But yeah, there's like I said, a lot of cool uh interesting ticks that each of the
Well,
actors have that are true to life. You run into maybe not the exact same person, but a lot of the traits are shared with people that you run into day to day at work.
oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. There's no shortage of eccentric, kind of silly people. Most of it's harmless and just silly, but you do run into some. Oh boy, if we could tell stories. Indictments. No, I'm just kidding. For for like work, you always have you very ones that war stories that always stick out, especially if you're tech or whatever. But speaking of connective tissue, you had Martin Starr, who plays a Satanist, a devout Satanist, in this show. And speaking of that, we covered The Devil here just this last week for
Devil's
our So Bad
Reign,
It's So
yeah.
Good. Yeah, so hat tip and nod to go see that, and Space Jesus the week before that. I promise you, it was quite a unique series here. But pulling it back here, I was going to say, to kind of set up the thing, you go from setting up the essentially this shape of the storyline isn't going to change. And that's another thing too that I realized, like, essentially this conundrum, this opportunity for Richard essentially reappears as the story progresses in different ways, which I thought was interesting. It just kind of recycles that a little bit, but it recycles it in a way that is awesome and entertaining. I will say, I think people did get, I think it went to 8 seasons or so. And by that time, I think some of the core people were already changing over anyway and moving on. Like, that's where TJ Miller was, essentially
Yeah.
over to the side.
Shuttled off, yeah.
And it did lose. It did. I do not think that kind of it translated, but for a series, for what it was and how it handled things, it was awesome. And I can't say this enough, but this is the second one. I didn't really even talk about the the second episode. Excuse me. But I guess you have this thing, and now obviously Richard decides he wants to build, and now he needs to figure out what a business is and what the hell that means. And it's so funny who has his ear. And Jared kind of plays his this Jiminy Cricket kind of type sort of character, I guess, is how I kind of see him, versus is the not necessarily true good, but like what would be best for Richard, essentially true to Richard for him. And then you have Erlich, Bachman, and
trying to steamroll his way into
oh
things.
my God, just this dirtbag that just, this a-hole dirtbag, but somehow for whatever reason, he's useful enough or handy, or he comes in clutch when he's really needed, and he leverages the hell out of that
Yeah.
to his absolute, or to our absolute amusement. Anyway, I'll pause there.
Yeah,
But
he pushes him into Richard to be an asshole, and yeah, once he achieves assholeness, Erlich has this begrudging respect for him whenever he starts to take control of things, and say, no, this is what I want for the company.
Right.
I guess he kind of wants if Richard's not gonna do what's right, Erlich's gonna steamroll his way through. Or if Richard, it's beneficial for him to either, if he could take control, or if Richard will assert himself and take control.
Yep.
It's sort of like his try to push the yin and yang of the thing through. But yeah, I enjoy all the characters. Yeah, the Jared is sure that balance, and he's trying to figure out with Richard what the company is,
Right.
and you have all these outside forces. Belsum, he wants a little bit of the secret sauce, so he's trying to he's got his guru that they, but yeah, you get all these little interesting side characters. We only get a taste of
Hangers
Jin
on.
Yang that shows
Oh,
up in
man.
the third episode.
The-
Him and Erlich have an interesting sort of relationship
yeah.
throughout the show.
Yeah, for so many people that interact, and you get to the chemistry pretty damn quick. And that's what makes the show. To me, that's what makes the show, is just, and the other thing too is I can appreciate all of it. I can appreciate kind of like, that, like you mentioned, yin yang, and that Bachman tension, as well as Bachman and other people, Bachman versus other people, and how there is a guy in there somewhere, but and he does, and it is really a story about Richard, like when he sticks up for himself, and then and
Mhm.
then it's essentially like, well, pegging that all the way over into like absurdity, to like where the screen wraps essentially, and it starts over again. But you like you mentioned, you had Spaghetti's failing upward arc, and it does become legendary. And you also kind of come to understand that just because, kind of singling him out, compensation, like all this money, this and title does not mean that this person is competent whatsoever.
Right.
Merit not apply, not necessarily the case, which is funny, in its own hilarity. And then I was going to say too, articles of incorporation really slide into it. Like you said, you get a taste of yin yang, and you also get that's also where I know I was talking about chemistry. You also get that Guilfoyle Dinesh, total back and forth, which is just fucking beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah, they're sort of like it's not really a friendship, but maybe a antagonistic sort of.
Rivalry,
They,
yeah.
yeah, they're comfortable in their dislike for each other, but then
Yeah.
they'll play a video game together. So but they called it mushrooming instead of teabagging. I guess that was sort of like I guess HBO didn't want to want them saying
Uh,
teabagging. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Well, it's probably, who knows, but the the show by the third episode, I don't know about you, but it absolutely, it hooked me way before then. But I would say if you can stick with it through the third episode, you really you start to see the pattern that is reoccurring, and then you're just entertained by, every time these people, one or more of these people get us a victory, it creates like two or three other stupider problem for them.
Mhm.
And then that's essentially, it sustains itself from there, depending upon where you're at, and what you think or feel toward tech or billionaires. There are many welcome signs uh, for you to find your way in. So I don't know. Did you were you, before? I know you had rewatched this, and you said it had been a minute or two. But were you? I guess did you find yourself being caught at different episodes for you, or were your recommendation for people out there, to watch, and watch out for?
No, I mean, it all kind of blurs together, but yeah, but a lot of times with comedy, especially comedy shows, it takes a little bit before everybody locks into their character and kind of finds their way. Although in this show, I think it's almost immediate, and I don't know if that's
Hmm.
has something to do with them
Yeah.
being a lot of them being friends prior to that. They already knew their rhythms and knew, who they were as characters. But yeah, it immediately kind of locks in. You kind of understand who you know who Richard is. He's this guy that smart, but he's uncomfortable in his own skin. He's
Right.
he gets excited. He has to throw up. He doesn't take responsibility well, and he's going to be in charge of a company. How's this going to work? Which he has to depend on his friends, and yeah, he's sort of like trying to find, not lose his soul while trying to create a company. And obviously, the you got that sweet spot, but the first season's always maybe not the strongest, but by the time you get to the second and the third season, you're pretty locked in, and you've got the
Yeah.
comedy. Maybe things kind of run a little bit too long. Maybe they should have maybe ended it, a season or two before, but I mean, overall, it's pretty strong. He's kind of compared against, the strongest episodes, and there's always debate on where they should have ended it, or maybe they should have kept it going. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's a solid show, and it does have an ending. Some of these shows get cut off before their time, so I think it definitely ran its course.
Yeah. I was gonna say too. With Richard, you get he's really good at coding, but he's just terrible at everything else, which sets up that his anxiety is the engine that we you see vomiting and panic and terrible decision making. And I can see where I mean you tend to root for him. I think that's kind of the thing for the. I mean that you just make him. He's just sometimes he deserves the cringe, but uh, it also kind of is like what will happen now. We just kind of set, like I said, to solve the stupider problem, or what. Sometimes it solves itself, sometimes it doesn't. It carries on, and I was wrong. I don't know why I thought 8 seasons, 6 seasons. But anyway, this one, yeah, I'd say this one is a easy win. And I think this is a little bit easier too if you want something maybe lighter. And I was going to say too, there is also some some things like it just makes me chuckle with Gavin Belsom, like that character, the messianic CEO, like you alluded to before, like with his little hangers on
Hooli.
or whatever. People,
Yeah.
yeah. And he said, "I don't want to live in a world where someone else makes the world a better place." Better than we do. It's
Yeah.
like, and then all the way up to Russ Hanneman, who's like the opposite, kind of flamboyant, wild, billionaire, or used to be billionaire or whatever, kind of crawling back up from this guy fucks. Anyway, I could go on all day, but I won't. To save Tom some painful watching Mike reenact the thing. But yeah, no, I really, like I said, these guys all have different chemistry and they all work. I don't know of another show that would be, just as beloved as I love it anyway. And I don't love everything that Mike Judge does. Like I don't really, I'm not really a King of the Hill kind of guy, but that's okay. The different strokes for different folks. I'm with Tom. I like the Beavis and Butthead kind of thing because that was kind of like also iconic. Growing up, you weren't supposed to be able to watch that because there was controversy around that for whatever reason. And it was also edgy, but in a good, fun.
Well, and it kind of captured that moment in time that's kind of past
Yeah,
now, where you did sit around with your friends and maybe yeah, ate chips and made fun of
rip
the
on.
music,
Yeah,
yeah, whatever music video that's on, and you always knew. If you weren't Beavis and Butthead, you knew of people that were just like Beavis and Butthead,
yeah,
and so yeah, he's very good at finding that sort of strata of the population and nailing it. He knows how to sort of capture the essence of these particular characters. And like Mike, I'm not a huge King of the Hill fan, but it does nail that particular uh,
it,
group of people quite
yeah.
well.
Yeah, no, I have
Um,
gotten to know many people across the United States, in person and remotely and whatnot, and people will, if you get in conversations with them and you're like, hey, is Texas really, is Austin really like this or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it's even weirder. So, and Austin, Texas is what I'm talking about. Essentially that was stomping grounds for Mike Judge and many other people that became icons themselves from that area of the United States. But just all kinds of weird, and you get even weirder stuff from, satirizing this. It works. And it's also fun too to go back and to kind of see, like, obviously the show's over now, but I do think that maybe the criticism, I think, was maybe it could have ended a little bit earlier, maybe. But I do remember watching it all the way through. I didn't watch it the first couple of years, but I got on it the midway through on out, and it caught up many times over, and it was beautiful. But it was it's also kind of that thing of like, oh man, this thing isn't gonna come around anymore, and then I'm gonna be relegated to slop or lower
yeah.
quality. But that this is a strong recommend. Obviously, me and Tom loved it, and I think
Mhm,
we think you will too.
mhm.
Um, I don't know. That's probably a pretty strong ending. What do you think? You think we missed anything?
No, yes, just yeah, it was hit right at TJ Miller's epicenter where he had the Silicon Valley and he had Deadpool movie going on, so
That's
he's
right.
the king of the world, and then he
Yeah.
then things just didn't go his
Just
way, so
see you later, dude. Yeah. No
uh,
coming back.
yep, so sayonara, sucker. But yeah, no, it's a fun show. If you get it, yeah. There's the Big Bang people, and then there's the Silicon Valley people.
Yep. I would say, yeah, I am definitely not in that. I totally respect the people that love that show because it does, I'm sure it is funny in its own way. And I've chuckled, guffawed at it a time or two, but like, my skin crawls when people talk about that one. I just like, I don't care. Like,
Yep.
I'm not a fan. And that's okay. That's okay.
Mhm.
It's just taste, but
Mhm.
this is more edgy and I think more true
Mhm.
to life, but,
Yeah.
um,
Big Bang Theory's your mom's show. Silicon Valley is
yeah.
your show.
That is very true. That is very true. No, that's true. It is a perfect
Mhm.
family comedy that you would see in prime time,
Mhm.
that people adore. I will give it that. But with that being said, I've been Mike.
And I'm Tom. Keep it geeky out there.
And we'll leave the light on for you.